What's going on, guys, and welcome back to more Reddit stories about Karens, crazy people, and all that kind of stuff. Hope you're all doing awesome today, and as usual, we'll be checking out some more Reddit posts. So be sure to share your thoughts about today's stories down in the comments, and let's get into it. Installed internet. Older neighbor called police on tech. We had internet installed 2 days ago. Nothing stating in the lease it wasn't allowed. The company clearly marked the line that needs to be buried, and let me know they would be back within the week to bury it. This sounded like no problem, so we agreed. Yesterday on my way out the door for work, my next door neighbor on the end, a set of 5 or 6 townhouses, I'm second one in from her side, stops me and tells me that she is going to trip on the cable because that's where she puts her trash cans. I said, well, Miss Landlord said it was fine, and the company will be here within the week to bury the line. It's clearly marked. She then proceeds to complain at me about where the company put the line and how it's above her door and all this stuff that isn't relevant to me, because that's where the company said it needed to go and she doesn't own her townhouse. She rents from the same landlord I do. I tell her what they told me and repeated that the landlord was aware. Later on, my husband texts me at work to tell me that the internet isn't working. I didn't call him when I had the interaction with the neighbor, so I called him to tell him what happened. He said he did all the troubleshooting the website said to do, from our mobile, and went outside to check the line. He said everything looked fine, so we set up an appointment for a tech to come out today. The tech gets here and starts looking around, and then we hear lots of loud voices outside. My husband peeks out the window and lo and behold, the police are here. She called them to say that the company was trespassing on her property. The tech is just here to do a job. Poor guy. My husband steps outside. The woman is yelling at the police and gesturing all over the place. They step over and ask me what I know, and I say, I just got off the phone with our landlord. She said she is calling her, neighbor, right now. Neighbor gets on phone forever. I continue talking to police. I provided text messages from the landlord stating where she asked if we had services put in, and I said yes, and all she asked after that was when the line would be buried, and I said within the week, and she said perfect. The landlord was totally aware. But the woman kept talking to the police like she owns the property and that we are damaging her home. In the end, the police said it was a civil matter, and that they didn't know why they were there if the landlord was fine with it and the tech was just fixing an issue. They left. The tech came inside and finished the service call. He said that the box had potentially been tampered with, so if it goes out again like it did, to get another tech out here so we can prove it. I ordered cameras. This is crap. Edited to add. Husband heard tech trying to be polite to the lady through the entire interaction, but as soon as he could, he called his boss and started telling him about it, and that he was obviously very angry by the whole thing. I don't know what I'm going to do, but he's getting a 5-star review from me for sure. Neighbor stealing water and costing me a fortune. Yes, really. So I do a lot of travel for work and leave my home frequently for weeks, sometimes months at a time. Last month I got a notice from my water company of an outstanding bill of $311. They call me and say, we believe you've sprung a leak. You've used 33,000 gallons of water in the last several weeks, while I was out of state. I have my girlfriend go to my place to make sure there's no sink, faucet, toilet, etc. running. She does find that the plug on the downstairs toilet was caught and seeping a little water through. So in my naive mind, I'm thinking, well, maybe that's it. I don't know how that would be 33,000 gallons, but I chalk it up to likely being something I did, because I don't ever jump to suspecting foul play. Well, I just got hit with another notice, this time for $486.11. I immediately call the water company and ask them if someone could come out and check my meter for the record. They have a rep in the area who gladly comes over and looks and informs me that, in fact, my water is not currently running. The pressure is perfectly fine, and that there is no possibility there's a leak. He says, it's very obvious someone is turning your water on and off. I'll try to present the facts, which may or may not play a part in this, as they are, without trying to sound too biased here. We both had our homes finished and closed within the same period of time, give or take a week. My water use in the 2.5 years I've been in my home has totaled, as of Friday, 136,000 gallons. 100,000 gallons of that has been used in the last 2 months, while I've been completely away, with only my closest friends showing up to get the mail and just make sure everything's good. My lawn has been dead for the last 2 years, because the cost of upkeep in my neighborhood is pretty high. I have a landscaper mow, trim, and pull weeds, but he does not use the water whatsoever. My neighbor's lawn looks like a golf course. It's incredibly green, well watered, and tended to. He's usually out watering at least once a day. They checked his meter, and apparently he's at 166,000 gallons of water use in the entire time he's lived next to me. Only 30,000 gallons more than where I'm standing at, with a completely dead lawn. I told the water company everything I'm suspecting, and they said they couldn't share much, but the rep on the phone did tell me that his water use was, quote, very low these last couple of months. She was almost speechless when she spoke to the technician who went to my house, because he basically backed up my assumptions and asked, "Hey, are you sure I'm at the right address? Because this guy's lawn is like a desert, but the neighbor's house looks insane." The water company said they understand that I'm clearly not using all of this water, but I'm still responsible to pay for it. I mean, I get that. The water was apparently used, and my county is in a stage 4 drought protocol. They basically said, you need to put up cameras and try to catch him for a civil suit. After the technician looked at the pressure, he then turned off the customer/main valve, which sits outside on the border's suspected neighbor's side of the property. This is the only main valve the homes in my subdivision have by default. I now see how this can be a major issue. The next day, the valve was turned back on and 200 gallons of more water was ran. I called the water company immediately again, and they said the only thing that can be done is to either terminate the service or try to catch him/file a police report. Around the beginning of the first outrageous billing cycle, my landscaper texts me and asks, "Is your neighbor racist?" because he's allegedly been harassing him. The issue is that my last landscaper also said that and then abruptly quit, leaving me SOL while I was also previously away for the holidays. Maybe this is irrelevant, but it does show how he is about his lawn and property line. I respectfully told my neighbor that he needs to stop because it's causing me stress while I'm trying to work. He got incredibly defensive and basically said, "I can do whatever I want from my porch. He's blowing grass on my side of the lawn and I'm sick of it." Whoop-de-doo. This was on March 6th, so I'm wondering if there will be a significant correlation around then. At the end of February, he started putting up a fence barrier right next to my faucet line. This was about a week before confronting him about my landscaper and around the time of when the excessive use started. The water company is issuing me a detailed 90-day report, which will show which days there was water use, what time of the day, and how much was being ran. The unfortunate part is that it takes 2 weeks, 10 business days, to get this report back. I technically can't rule out my other neighbor, except his lawn has also pretty much always been dead. He's also a renter and has hardly ever been seen using water outside whatsoever in the entire time he's been here. He's also a Fed, and I really doubt he'd risk his entire career to steal water from me for... I have zero idea what he'd be using it for, but it's clearly not going into his lawn. I didn't have side cameras installed on the house, since he's the kind of neighbor who's always watching and looking out. I've had my friends install some blink cameras while he was at work. However, they aren't really picking up a lot of activity without being more visible. He's a disgruntled retired vet with some definite anger issues. He's the kind of dude who thinks the public parking in front of his house is exclusively his, and he'll start an actual fight with neighbors over it. However, he's literally parked in a neighbor's driveway and was flabbergasted when the neighbor showed up in the middle of the night and told him to get the hell out. He actually had the wherewithal to come to me and say the nerve of some people after telling me what he did. He'd absolutely try to get anyone towed or vandalized who did it to him though, 100%. He's also definitely threatened to poison the neighbor's dogs because of their excessive barking throughout the day. Before I left to go home for the holidays, he and his wife both said, "We're gonna stop using our sprinkler system because it's killing us on our water bill. This company is way too damn expensive." My foam faucet covers are still currently on. I wonder if he noticed that they were still on once it started getting hot again a couple months back, and took it as a sign that I'm not paying attention. I mean, he wasn't wrong to a good degree. One of my neighbors told me he waters his lawn 3 times a week, and he has a family of 5 with a daughter who takes 50-minute showers, and his bill was only $150. My ex-girlfriend also lives just a block over, and she says she only waters the grass 3 times a day, and her highest bill ever was $190, which is higher than mine ever was, roughly $110 a month. Our separation was mutual and healthy. I feel like I need to clarify that she wouldn't ever do anything like that to anyone, let alone me. I have a lawyer currently building a potential case with all of the facts presented at this time. I guess I'm wondering if there's any advice or ideas to help catch him in the act. So far, I haven't seen him on the cameras, but the one neighbor I really trust has said he's been out really late and early in the AM, so I feel like the water report will correlate with that. I really want to catch this guy red-handed because he's going to have cost me well over $1,000 by the end of this month. I am slightly concerned he may have access to my water system because he works in construction and is pretty savvy in that regard. But right now I feel like he's likely plugging his backyard sprinkler system into my line and just letting it go a couple times a week. I guess we'll see. It's really a bummer because I've been a very considerate neighbor. I like to play the drums, and anytime he's told me it's bothering him, I've stopped it immediately, even when it was while recording tracks for a local band. I'm starting to now see who he really is the more I learn about him through other people. Okay, this ended up very finger-pointy, which isn't what I wanted, but it's like the technician said, there's no way you have any sort of leak. Your water's intentionally being used and is going somewhere, and if it was your yard, you'd have green patches somewhere around it. You've got golf course quality turf just a couple feet over. I really don't want to be at odds with my neighbor, but I cannot stand a thief. I've worked way too hard for what I have to be just taken from me, and he's definitely the type of boomer who thinks he's entitled to other people's amenities if it won't kill them. No, I do have spigot locks, but I feel like that's a one-time sort of thing. If he goes to tap it and it's not on camera, he's gonna know I'm onto him, which would be the worst-case scenario at this point. Update. I've been busy with work and have handed off the tasks of my home to my best friend and girlfriend to monitor before I can make it back home to further assess everything. We followed the suggestions and have promptly put locks on the outdoor spigots, as well as getting cameras installed on the side of the house. No sign of any funny business since the last known use, so I'm curious if anything has been made apparent to my neighbors. I say that because he's typically outside walking in between our houses quite a bit, and so far I've only seen him come home from work and activity lighting from his front porch. Regardless of the outcome, this is something that should have been done from the start. I'll try to report back in a couple days to see what we find with this usage report from the water company. Yeah, this is actually pretty crazy. And it's good that OP is actually finally doing something to catch them in the act, too. It's good that OP is doing something about it and trying to catch him in the act, but I can also see that they want to do it carefully and actually get proof of him doing it. Because otherwise, if they just take measures to stop him from doing it without actually getting proof, then they wouldn't be able to demand restitution in court for all the water he stole. It's been almost a month since they posted this, but still no updates past what we've already read. I will be keeping an eye on this though, and I'll share any future updates if there is one. Anyway, that's going to do it for today, so thank you for watching, I do appreciate it. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. So take care, stay tuned for more, and I'll see you next time.